I'm going to show you the biggest mistake I think beginning watercolor artists make and how to correct it. I'm going to do a small one that isn't really the way to do it, that I'm going to show you, I think, the way to do it, in my humble opinion. As a reference photo today, I have this setup actually in my studio, which I shot, and then I printed this out, which is a couple of flowers and some leaves. Couldn't be simpler. And I have a slight little pencil drawing on the left, just quickly sketched in. And then I have one on the right. This will be the one I hope to show you is the correct one. Here's the one on the left, so we'll start there. Here, using a little sap green, we're going to just lay in the leaves like this, not paying much attention to anything, just coloring like we were in a coloring book, filling in the lines, looking at the reference here, and then very quickly finishing the leaves. And that's kind of so then likewise with the flowers themselves, I would use any red I found, and then I'd just paint it in and fill in the sort of flower in a flat way, if you will. And again, not paying much attention to light source, not paying much attention to value, which is the key, which I'm going to talk about. And then here, we will do the other flower. I'm using an oval wash brush, which I find very handy. I mean, you can get a line out of it, or you can get, or you can turn it on its side and cover a lot of ground. Let's just say when you're beginning, you're also going to add a little bit of the definition for the flowers, just to be fair to a beginner, right? But probably you're not going to do much more than that. So the first thing I think of when I start a watercolor are values, not colors. Maybe design, but values. And so I know underneath here, this is quite dark under this flower. It's the lower flower. So I'm just, again, using just sap green right here. And the stem is darker than the leaves, although this leaf down here is quite dark. The other thing that I have learned over the years is you let the watercolor paint itself. And what I mean by that is with water, and use sufficient water, you lay it in, you don't fuss with it too much, and when it's wet, you want to add a little color. So I actually see blue. It's a cool in the leaves, which is unusual, but actually quite beautiful. So what am I saying? You look to what you're painting, and you don't have to imitate nature, but stay close to it. And this over here gets darker, and certainly darker underneath. And the other thing that I do, which makes life so easy when it's wet, is you use a paper towel and you'll just blot out. Don't worry too much if you are not exact. And again, that gets to values, because values is what we want. And so then I can go back in because it's wet, and with a little darker tone. And it's wet behind here. It's wet coming down here, certainly darker here, and darker on this edge over here. And it starts to come alive in that way. And I'm going to cheat a little bit and say there's some yellow, because in every green there's yellow, true? And that adds excitement, generally speaking. So we've got blues mixing with yellows. How exciting is that? And then we've got this over here. And sometimes you can just add color. I mean, water. And I wouldn't fuss too much with it. The other thing I want to talk about are edges, so I'm going to let it dry for a minute and then come back. And while we're finishing up on the leaves, I just wanted to show you one little technique. Yeah, is it a trick? I don't know. But on good paper like this, which is Vietnamese paper, Baohong, I think that's how you pronounce it, and you can lift. You can lift. You just use a sort of a stiff brush, get it wet. Sometimes it takes a minute, and blot it right off. So likewise, because this looks like it should be a lot lighter, we do the same here. If you want to. Sometimes you don't need to. At the same time, I want to talk about edges. We've talked about light source, light and dark, but edges are very important. And edges shouldn't all be hard. Some should be lost. You can break it down. You can break it down that way. And some can be hard. Just like life. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy. So, we're going to move right on to the flowers. So, the upper flower is much lighter. The lower one has much more color. So, what I often do is I'm going to wet up until the edges, not going to pay too much attention whether I go outside the edge or not. And that allows me to lay in some color. So here, I'm using a rose. And a red, because it's not just rose. And again, you want to let the watercolor paint itself, right? So, nothing's more beautiful than water and color. And it takes a life of its own. If it puddles up, you can just use your paper towel to get rid of it. So, because I'm in love with it, I'm going to just add a little bit more color and let it sort of do its magic. And I'm going to add, believe it or not, a little blue down here, because that tends to make a gray. And there is some gray in this. And likewise, the upper is very light. Against the background, it's really almost a white. But we know, because of the direction of the light coming down on it that underneath we're going to have some gray, some shadows. And so again, I'm going to let the watercolor do its magic. Paper's wet, not overly wet. I'm going to add a little blue, which makes it gray. And again, I'm using my trusty paper towel. It's still wet enough to just lift it right out, keep it soft. In some ways, you can do more painting with the towel than you can with a brush. And with watercolor, it's a lot about timing too. So I have let this dry for a few minutes, and I'm going to go back in and look at some of the darks. Values are key. Again, this is just letting the watercolor paint itself, and just sort of sketching with the brush. And adding a little blue to make that gray. And up here, be careful because it's so light. And adding just a little, some details, not going crazy. And if you squint your eyes, you can see that this is the dark side. The light's coming from right to left and down. We're going to let that dry. And back to values, another important concept is to surround your lights with a dark. And between the two flowers, there's actually a green, if you can see it. So I've got a much smaller brush, and I am floating that in, if you will. And that sets that flower off, just like this. It's okay if you want to exaggerate a little bit to make your point, or my point. And then I would go back in with a little light blue-gray up here, because this seems like it needs a little more definition. But I'm not going to fuss too much with it, because The thing about watercolor is you want it to be light, transparent, as spontaneous as possible. And sometimes you can kill it. You want it to be light and airy. Maybe just a little color. Yeah. And then maybe a touch of orange. I don't know if I dare, but we're going to try. Yeah. That works. So again, you can fuss with it forever, but I'm going to suggest that you should stop. As soon as you think you maybe should stop, you should stop. You know the old saying, it takes two people to paint a painting, one to paint the painting, and the other to tell the artist to stop. So that's it. I think if you compare the two, you'll see that this one is a lot more vibrant. The colors have melted, if you will, into the others. This is just coloring in flat shapes with not too much definition and not letting the watercolor work its magic. So there they are. That's the comparison. This is the first, which is flat. Doesn't really indicate there's any light source coming from anywhere. And here's the one, we'll call it improved, if you will, with some shapes and flowing colors and more of a definition of lights and darks. Thank you so much for watching, and please enjoy the wonderful feeling and enjoyment of watercolor painting.